There we go. Tim Warner returns. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you.
We got a lot to talk about. So before we get started, I'm just going to fucking throw some curveballs at you. In the UK, we have a newspaper called the Sunday Sports. There's a lot of nudity, tits, vagina.
Hold on. Your newspaper is called the Sunday Sports.
Yeah.
As if it's all a game.
Yeah, it's all a game.
Okay. So you're where you guys get your Sunday news, they call sports.
Because it has sports in it, yeah.
Sports at the back. So yeah.
Tits at the front, stories in the middle, and then sports in the back. So if you made it this far, you're committed. All right.
Dude, everyone skipped the middle. They just looked at the tits and the sports. Everyone skipped the middle.
I was about to say that. That's what my granddad does.
Yeah, come on.
Here's
it's like you're getting Playboy to read the article, stupid. Come on.
All right, here's article number 1.
Yes, here we go.
I was proud to stretch 27 Loom bands round my willy. Then my bell end burst.
What?
All right.
You might have to explain what a Loom band is.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give me a translation here. The fuck?
Loom bands is what children used to make bracelets out of.
Okay. And then what was the other thing? Is bell?
It's bell end burst. It's the end of your knob.
Oh, it's your foreskin pretty much. It's fucking the bell end.
Oh, so first of all, we don't know if he's circumcised.
Probably not in the UK.
Well, if his bell end
probably
burst,
not. So what? The dickhead just blows up? What? I don't understand.
All right, we're gonna have to go deeper.
Yeah.
I got what felt like.
Well, like an explosion, like.
I don't know. It just says here. It just says here in quotes. I got what felt like a blood vessel popping in my tip.
Oh, dude, that's disgusting. Why is it? No, my question is, why is he wrapping balloon bands around his dick?
To make it bigger. That would be my guess. To make it bigger. To make it longer, it won't be girthy, but it'll be longer.
Unmarried Andrew, 44, originally bought a pack of Loom bands for his 10-year-old niece. But when he got them back to his home, in Holyhead, curiosity took hold.
So hold on, you're telling me a guy in Holyhead had his dickhead burst? I mean,
holy shit!
That just writes itself.
That's got MK Ultra written all over it.
So what is this guy pissed like a sprinkler now? Does he come like a sprinkler? He's got all these holes out of his dick now.
Oh wait, the next one's gonna kill you even more. That was just a warm up.
All right.
Was this from the Sunday Sport as well?
Yeah, this is all from the Sunday Sport.
Sport.
This one's a Sunday Sport exclusive. This one.
This isn't news. That's why they call it sports. This isn't news.
Banned from Chinese buffet for shitting in the seaweed. Gran, 52, had drunk 2 bottles of vodka. Here's a picture of the woman.
Oh, Jesus.
That looks like Triple H. So she scat in seaweed.
Gran Janice O'Dowd had been banned from all-you-can-eat Chinese for crapping in a tray of crispy seaweed.
That's probably what cures COVID.
Onlookers gasped and some vomited when the drunken 52-year-old climbed onto a chair, pulled down her tights, and splattered her mess onto the savory treat.
What the fuck? In it.
So, in the buffet, there's seaweed.
Yeah, crispy
seaweed.
Seaweed.
Then she shit in the buffet. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, you froze. Oh no.
I'm here. Don't worry.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
I'm here.
All right, there you are. So is that what happened? The seaweed was in the buffet?
Yeah.
Is that like a way of making it some sort of delicacy or something?
What about the plastic guards?
Maybe there weren't any.
Like, you don't do that? You guys don't do plastic guards?
We just help ourselves.
I mean, but there's a global pandemic afoot.
Yeah, but this could be years ago.
What if someone? Oh, okay, that's fair. All right.
I don't think the Sunday Sport is still a publication, is it?
No.
Were the bathrooms down? Like, why? There's so many other things. I mean, seaweed's got to be nice to sit in, but
All right, next one. I
I
wasn't.
still have so many questions about
All
the
right.
seaweed.
All right, we'll stay on the
I
seaweed.
think she's trying to protest communism.
That
She's
makes
a
sense.
hero. She's a hero protesting communism. That's the way I'm going to look at that, lady.
I mean, you know what? Her heart was in the right place. I think. You know, it
How old
started
is she? Is this a prank?
52 years old.
Nah, you know what you're
Hey.
doing if it's too.
Hey, Granny, I dare you to go shit in the seaweed. Okay, son.
Okay, article number 3. I wasn't flashing my willy. I was shoplifting sausages.
Hold on. What is it again?
I wasn't flashing my willy. I was shoplifting sausages. A sex pervert who was spotted
That is
waving
the
his...
best excuse I've heard for flashing your
There you
dick.
go. A sex pervert who was spotted waving his salami in the meat section of his local supermarket told cops he was stealing sausages. Oddball Roddy Yersley, 47, was spotted flashing his spunk hose by shoppers in the store,
Spunkos.
which can't be named for legal reasons. In Hanley, Staffs, a court heard.
Who read this article to call his dick a spunkos?
I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Oh, fuck this.
Dude, this has got to be like a National Geographic thing. Like, this can't be a real newspaper. Like, this has got to be like in America, a National Enquirer, where it's like Bigfoot, aliens, you know,
Yeah.
John Benet Ramsey's still alive. Like, they have those kind of magazines. Is that what this is?
No, this is legit.
No.
These people exist. We used to have a TV show in the morning called Jeremy Kyle, the Jeremy Kyle show, and it would get
Okay.
people of low income, what we call council estates, would get on stage, a bit like Jerry Springer, but less egregious. It was more grounded,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
they'd do lie detector results. They'd do DNA tests to see if a child was just, you know, whatever. And these people were legit. They existed. Yeah, they get them all riled up before they went on stage and all that. And they would twist the, you know, they'd get one person to come on first and do a bit of chatting. So that would get the person backstage really riled up. And, you know, these people exist.
In America, a lot of them were fake.
Yeah.
Like Stanhope did a Springer, I think. And they just came out with a bullshit story and whatever else.
No, but
So,
what I'm
They
trying to say
want
is,
you to think that low income people are fucking dumb and worthless and unintelligent and whipping their penises out everywhere and shitting in seaweed. But that's not the case. It's not the case. But they want you to think that's what we do.
well, you know, during towards the end of the noughties into the 2010s, you know, the mainstream media was trying to push the narrative that poor people were the ones to blame for everything. You know, they had these TV shows come out. I can't even living on benefits, Benefit Street. They had all these TV shows aimed at poor working class people to sort of put them on safari, and that's what the Jeremy Kyle show was. It was what was called a poverty safari, putting these low educated, low income individuals, putting them in a bit like the Running Man. It got Running Man vibes, and it would say,
You know what used to piss me off about Jeremy Kyle? How they'd have the two guests in separate rooms, get one out, and they'd tell a story while the other guy was still in the back, being made out to be a knob or a girl.
yeah, and
And
then
they couldn't
boo.
defend themselves every time they'd like try and be like, I did blah blah blah. They'd be like, shut up and wait your turn. and then they come out, tell their story, and then like, you know what I mean? Sometimes they're like not as bad as they get made out.
But you know how many missed paychecks? And, you're good.
There we go.
Yeah, we're good. Don't worry. We'll let you know if anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
But you know, what was I going to say? It was something along the lines of how many bad days are we away from downing 2 bottles of vodka and shitting in seaweed? Like, what would it take for us?
Oh, dude, I used to be an alcoholic addict.
Yeah.
I didn't need a global pandemic to. I didn't shit seaweed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's a very specific protest.
I've done those things.
But
you
yeah,
know?
you know what I mean? It's, you know, it's that's what I mean. It puts the lens on poor working class and say, let's blame. It's about scapegoating, and every generation or every decade has its new scapegoat. Look at us now. We are now the scapegoats. I try and be as objective as I can. When I see people walking around wearing face masks outdoors, or wearing face masks in the car, or wearing face masks despite the fact in the UK there's no longer a face mask mandate, I try and look from their perspective, and I think they are convinced that that mask is saving lives. They think that people are well-intended but misinformed, and they look at us as the enemy because we're doing the exact opposite, and they think we are the
cause. You can
cause.
say that, but like, it's been prevalent in Asia for a long time, just wearing a face mask. It's never been looked down upon. You know what I mean?
From the last SARS outbreak in 2003.
But didn't was that why? Was that why? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just down in San Antonio, Texas, about not even 2 weeks, and I went down there and no mask, whatever else. And in fact, I was wearing my Jeffrey Epstein should have worn a mask shirt. And it was so funny. I was with two other comics. We were going to do Laugh Out Loud Comedy Club that night. So we're just walking around downtown San Antonio. And people who aren't necessarily my demographic were coming up to me with their family, with masks on, and being like, that shirt is fucking awesome. I absolutely love that shirt. And it happened a number of times in San Antonio. And the conclusion that me and the other comics came up with was that there's a lot of people that believe what you believe about all of this, but they won't do anything about it. You have there were a number of people obviously wearing masks who see my shirt and they're just like, yeah, dude, that's fucking hilarious. But yet you're still wearing a mask. There's a lot of societal pressures. I mean, I was just down here in Tampa, right? I was just in a Walmart 2 days ago. And it was the first time in probably months that I've had someone. There was a lady who was like, went up to a Walmart person and was like, pardon me, do you have extra masks? This gentleman doesn't have a mask on. And they're like, yeah, he doesn't have to. And she just kept making a stink about it. And I got my muscle milk and my Reese's Pieces and I left. You know, it's these people think they're being heroes. And what I love, at least in America, is Americans love to do something, love to be something where they don't have to do much. And putting on a mask is the least amount of effort that one can take to be called a hero. You don't have to save a life. You don't have to take a bullet. You just put it on your little slave rag, put a cloth on your mouth, and you're a fucking hero. It's lazy. It's really lazy. And people I've seen would rather live in fear than live with hope.
That's it, though. It's fear, isn't it? Fear is the biggest tool for fucking a lot of people.
I mean, all right. I don't. Again, I'm kind of ignorant to you guys and whatever else, so forgive me. I don't have a lot of knowledge of England and so forth. But like the stock market, for example, you know, it goes up and down. Stocks, people trade, whatever else. But it's not based on like a dollar. It's not based on a yen, a shekel, or whatever else. It's based on fear and hope. If people think there's hope, the economy goes up. If people think there is fear, the economy goes down. It's not based on money. It's based on fucking emotion. Like that's insane to me that our dollar went off the gold standard to get on the emotional standard. That's something that completely boggles my mind. How could money be based on emotion?
You know, the fear I think also stems from because a large percentage of people are kind of what you call, you know, people that get the jab or people that wear the mask. A lot of these people are on the fence and they do it because they see the narrative being, oh, it's back to normal. But when I look at what is normal, what we had before the pandemic wasn't normal. We were on this upward trajectory of ego and libertarian mindsets of this, you know, the individual was on the up and up and nothing can go wrong. We got complacent on a spiritual level. And then this thing happens, bang, and we're forced to confront ourselves and look at ourselves. We have no more distractions, no more festivals, no more jobs. No more, you know what I mean? Manufactured distractions, and suddenly we're faced with ourselves and we think, oh shit, who am I really in the world? That's why so many people have changed careers. That's why so many people have completely turned their lives around for better or worse.
Well, the DHS, Department of Homeland Security here, because as you guys know, maybe you don't, I don't know, 20th anniversary of September 11th is coming up this year. So, because it's 20 years or whatever else, the DHS has put out some guidelines for terrorism.
Right.
And the number one guideline I saw on the news was anyone who speaks out against COVID, who goes against the vaccine, you're a terrorist. You're a terrorist in this country.
What?
If you speak out against, yep. I can show you, I can send you the picture of the CNN thing. They got like three things on there that define terrorism. And the first one was, going against the narrative of the COVID measure.
Is that like, is DHS and Biden like connected?
Well, see, the thing is, Department of Homeland Security was made after September 11th, right?
All right, okay.
And it was under the intention of, we got to go get the Osama bin Laden of the world and whatever else. But even back then, I was saying to myself, this is going to be used on us. And it seems like that's what's happening now. You know, I mean, Christ, dude, there was 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, around the Capitol fucking thing that happened on January 6th. And it was basically like, if you supported Trump, you were considered a terrorist. And that Department of Homeland Security is a frightening thing.
That's
you know, and then if you get into some of the ideas that Osama bin Laden, who's actually a CIA agent, his name was Timothy Osman. He was brought into Afghanistan to take out the Soviet Union in 1983, 84, whatever else. Just the same way that, Saddam Hussein, as much as he was our enemy, I mean, there's pictures of fucking Donald Rumsfeld in the Reagan administration shaking hands and being buddy-buddy with Saddam Hussein. They told that motherfucker to evade Kuwait. And then he evaded Kuwait. They went to war with him.
Yeah, it's all a part. I remember there was a speech that Gaddafi was doing, and he was trying to warn the other members of the committee, saying that they're going to come for me and they're going to come for you. And he was talking to Assad, the president or whatever of Syria. He was saying they're coming for you next, because apparently he wanted to trade in the African gold dinar, not the dollar. And, Africa should be one of the richest continents in the world, but it isn't.
Oh, fuck it. It's a shame, dude. They treat that country like fucking guinea pigs.
That's it.
They use trippy. I never thought of it that way. Yeah. Now I think about it, that's fucking mental.
We were talking about the other day about Vietnam, the Vietnam documentary on Netflix, which is like 20 hours long, but it is worth every minute because it takes you.
Is it really?
Yeah. Year by year, it explains it all. And you've got the Viet Cong talking, you've got the Southern Vietnamese talking, you've got the Vietnam veterans talking. And what was interesting about it, especially when you get to 1964, 1965, just before the American troops were on the soil, because before then, during the JFK administration, I think it was more sort of like, I don't know what the correct term is.
3 days after the assassination, Lyndon B. Johnson signed us into war.
Yeah. He escalated the war for sure. And by 1966, which was 3 years into, I don't know when, because obviously the vice president was Lyndon B. Johnson. He was sworn in that same day. You can see that picture of Jackie Onassis, still with blood on her coat, looking just, she ain't there, put it that way.
Yeah.
And Lyndon B. Johnson's putting his hand, making the pledge and being sworn in. And then he was up for, and then the re-election came up. He won by a landslide, I think it was. And then the war escalates. But here's where it gets interesting, right? So before JFK was assassinated, I think the guy's name was In Din Diem. He was the puppet leader put in place for South Vietnam. And he was an Orthodox Christian. And so was his sister. So he seemed like the perfect candidate of leadership for the Americans to go up against the communist Northern Vietnamese and the rest of the communists. But he started campaigns going against the Buddhists in that area. And then this Buddhist monk who's in his 70s comes along in front of the embassy, meditates in the lotus position and sets himself on fire. And they started doing it. A few days later, JFK says, I can't help you. And a few days later, Ndinziem is taken into the back of a convoy and shot dead.
I don't know, but if Buddhists are fucking running around setting themselves on fire, then you know you're fucked up.
Yeah.
Hold on. Out of curiosity, Gulf of Tonkin, was that brought up in this documentary?
Yeah, it was.
So was it brought up the fact that it was a false flag, that it never fucking happened?
It was brought up that it was still unknown.
It never happened. Declassified information came out. I think, honestly, because of Trump and some of the JFK files he fucking declassified. But the Gulf of Tonkin never fucking happened. We never got bombed of any nature. And then they made the Geneva Convention, where they made rules for war. Rules where you could do this, you can't do this, you could do this. That's the Geneva Convention. And they did all of that to make the war last longer. Because for some reason in our fucking world, war is the only way we can make a fucking profit. Happiness, freedom, love, there's no money there. I think that's bullshit. But the fact that they made the war go on, and the fact that we went in for bullshit pretexts, and then the fact that after Kennedy was taken out with no hesitation, basically almost Thanksgiving Day, we basically go to fucking war.
Yeah. And it started to turn. It's interesting when you see how people were all for the Vietnam War because it was mostly low income kids that were being drafted in. But once they needed more soldiers, they started bringing in the sort of the middle class college kids were being drafted. That's when people started paying attention. That's when they started protesting.
Muhammad Ali didn't do it. He lost 3-4 years of his prime as a boxer because he did not want to go to Vietnam.
Is that when he changed his religion and stuff? Or is that before?
Before?
I think he might have changed. I think he changed it a little bit before.
All right.
That's what I mean. And
but then they wanted him to go to Vietnam, and he was like, "Nah, dude, that ain't my war."
Yeah, and
That's not my war.
They called him a traitor. But eventually, as time went on, he was vindicated.
Yeah.
But
it's like Conor McGregor, though, man. He punches old people in the pub, but he makes money, so they'll just fucking be like, "Yeah, brush over that."
Yeah, because he's an expensive product. He's their product.
But I will also say, Conor McGregor is not even close.
Yeah, I'm not saying Muhammad Ali did a bad thing. I'm just saying Conor McGregor does.
No, but the kind of fighter and the impact. I mean, Muhammad Ali is still somewhat considered the greatest boxer of all time.
I watched the documentary, he inspired hip hop as well with his wordplay and shit. Like, that guy was an inspiration for fucking loads of things. Dude, guy's a hero, man.
Dude, he got a bus. He was in a bus before he fought Sonny Liston for the heavyweight title. And he got a bus, stood outside of his place with a megaphone. It was just like, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to, like,
that
guy was unprecedented.
Awesome.
That's unprecedented. Like, dude, the dude was amazing. The dude was utterly amazing. And the fact that they took from his prime, I mean, who knows how greater of a boxer we would know him as if he had those 3 to 4 years in his prime, 27, 28 years old.
Yeah, it was between the ages of 24 and 29 that he was out of action.
Yes.
He wasn't allowed to fight. But his comeback, I mean, he did a few low-level comebacks, but the big comeback was George Foreman, Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah.
And George, up until this point, I think Muhammad Ali had been defeated twice by I want to say the guy's name was Ken Norton. And then there was, what was the Philadelphian guy's name? The name's right there. Joe.
Give me a second, because Tyson beat the shit out of his kid. The seventh fight, because he did a couple revenge fights for Muhammad Ali. And why can't I think of Joe Frazier?
Joe Frazier, there we go.
Frazier.
So George Foreman was younger than Muhammad Ali, and Joe Frazier and Ken Norton had beaten Muhammad Ali up until this point, and George Foreman just destroyed them both. Right, so everybody's like, Muhammad Ali's back. He's 32 years of age. He is not going to win against the juggernaut that is 27-year-old George Foreman. So they eventually get to the fight. And after that first round, Muhammad Ali's like, you can see in his eyes, oh, fuck, this is a real opponent. So he decides to outsmart the guy. He lets him just punch himself out. He starts using the rope-a-dope method.
Yeah, oh man, that is the best shit.
And by
I've
the
ever
eighth
seen
round,
when he's on the ropes. Like,
yeah, and by the eighth round, you know, George Foreman is tired. He is tired. And Muhammad Ali keeps grabbing him. He says, George, I thought you were stronger than this. What are you doing? You know, I'm paraphrasing, but he's just fucking in his head. He is in his head. And then bang, bang, bang. George Foreman goes down.
Is that the picture where
yeah, he goes to hit him, but
Yeah.
then he goes to hit him one last time, but then he holds it back and he just watches him hit the canvas. And the country is now called the Democratic Republic of Congo, but back then it was called Zaire.
Mm-hmm.
And the locals were chanting Ale Bumbaye, which means kill him. Ali, kill him, George Foreman. And
yeah, that's a great fight. Really is.
The dictator who was running Zaire at the time, you know, in order to make people behave themselves, he would bring in 1,000 criminals into the stadium before the fight and kill every 10 of them, just so that people were on their best behavior during that fight, because it was riddled with crime. Zaire.
I've ever heard that in my life. That's fucked up.
So he brought in 1,000 criminals and shot 10 of them.
Jesus.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't kneel during the national anthem if that was going on.
No.
But the guy, I can't remember his name, but he had to watch it in seclusion on closed circuit television because of the threat of assassination. This man was fucking despised.
Wow.
But he wanted to fight. He was so happy that such a big fight was happening in his country.
Yeah.
I made an impression.
But, you know, it just...
If we're talking about boxers, though, best boxer I've ever seen box is Prince Naseem. Have you ever heard of him?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. Really?
No?
Really?
Yeah.
Compared to Tyson? Really?
Well, Tyson's got brute power. He's just, every match is just like, yeah, fucking go watch him.
Beyond brute power. Dude, that guy, he could dodge. I mean,
it's called the peekaboo method.
I haven't seen a beast like that in boxing, who would just intimidate by walking to the ring. No bullshit with that dude. Like,
but this guy, Prince
Naseem's
fucking breakdancing before he lands a knockout punch. He's just insane.
Different divisions, isn't it? Just different divisions.
Cute. That's cute.
It is cute, but it's fucking sexy.
Right, Tim, let me tell you another boxing story that you might find interesting. So this happened in the UK in 1995, right? So this is a fight between, I think this was the middleweight division. It was a fight between a British man named Nigel Benn and an American named Gerald McLennan. Right, there's a documentary you should check out on YouTube called "The Fight for Their Lives," and Don King was on Gerald McLennan's side on this one. It was so corrupt, this fight. But eventually, Gerald McLennan just keeps sort of blinking like that. His mouth guard keeps falling out of his mouth, but no one throws in the towel. No one calls. And the referee was French. He didn't even speak English. Next thing you know, right, Gerald McLennan takes the knee and he just stays down. He just stays down. Next thing you know, there's a clot in his brain. And to this day, this man is in a wheelchair, disabled. So they did a documentary called "The Fight for Their Lives." It was filmed in 2007, where Nigel Benn, who's now a born-again Christian, because he said he was suicidal after that fight, what he'd done to that man. He was filled with so much guilt. And he meets him again. They do a charity event so they can raise money for Gerald McLennan. And Nigel Benn just bursts out in tears when he sees the man in the wheelchair trembling. You know?
Wow.
And it's profound.
Wow.
But, you know, and the documentary tries to focus on who was to blame. You know, was it the coaches that wouldn't throw in the towel? Is it the referee that didn't speak English? Was it Nigel Benn?
Benn's fucking right hand.
Yeah, Nigel Benn allegedly was on steroids.
Oh.
Everyone's in steroids. Fucking 90s though.
Well, yeah, of course. But like, Jesus, dude, that's the guilt. The steroids, that's the guilt.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this man was in his 20s at the time. Nigel Benn was in his 20s. He was in the peak of his life. He was kind of it was all for the show. And he just thought he was the fucking dog's bollocks, as we call in England, which means you think you're great. And then it was a downward spiral after that for him.
Come on,
He lost his next 2 fights. He retired, and
yeah,
you don't come back.
I don't even know how you can go back in the ring.
Yeah, but
Like I don't know. That's intense, dude. That's fucking intense. I'm gonna have to check that out. That's intense.
yeah, I'll send you a link to the documentary. It's great to watch.
Please, please.
But yeah, so there's another thing I wanted to bring up, like we'd mentioned before we recording, you know, the thing that we're going through right now, I feel like we're living on a spectrum. And on one side of that spectrum is what I call blissful ignorance. And then on the other side of that is cynicism that borders on absolute despair with everything that's going on. So like sometimes I feel good and smoke some weed and go for a walk, and I feel hopeful for the future, hopeful for the podcast, hopeful for my writing. Yeah, everything's going to be okay. And then the pendulum swings the other way, and next thing you know, you see the headlines, you see the way the energy changes around in the people around you, because a lot of the people that are on board with the narrative start parroting the headlines. They start parroting these bullshit statistics that have been diluted down from, you know, I mean, they're not reading the source material. They're just following the journalists, and you kind of get overwhelmed by it, or you think, oh no, there is no hope for the future. We're going into some place that I don't even want to begin to imagine. Is just tyrannical and fucking awful place that we're heading. And I'm thinking, how do we stop succumbing to despair and keep staying strong for the future? You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you asking?
I don't know. It's just,
or is that rhetorical?
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there because, you know,
it's just how you feel like with the situation.
Yeah. Sometimes like I'll become so overwhelmed with cynicism and despair that I'm not happy anymore. So I then resort back to blissful ignorance, where I can be hopeful, but it's not a real sense of. It's a lie. The ignorance is a lie.
That's what I've come to do to deal with it is just laugh at the stupid shit you see. You see a stupid headline, just fucking laugh and hysterically at it. Makes you feel 10 times better.
I do laugh. And again, sometimes I'll laugh with despair.
Because in your brain, you can filter out the fucking bullshit coming through in the news. Mm-hmm. Most of it is bullshit, but there's like that fucking 10% where it's like it's meaningful. Do you know what I mean?
There's too many of them. You know?
That's what I mean. Like you get these,
and there has been.
You get these stupid environmental arguments where people say, "Oh, there's too many of us," and then some prick will say, "Oh no, there's plenty of land." But you know what my argument is? There's too many people for us. You know, there's too many of us for ourselves, because it just, you know what I mean? Think of the craziest fucking thing that exists. I mean, me reading those articles, whether I'll keep that bit in because it didn't land as well as I thought it would, but me reading about some guy putting loom blands around his knob, you know, that's not that hard to believe when you think statistically how many people live amongst us and what population of those people are like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to shit on some seaweed or put some loom blands on my knob. Statistically, that's possible because there's that many of us. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes we make as people is to assume that everybody else is just as decent and humble as we are. But that's not the case. You know what I mean? Because we might be decent now, but what's happened, you know, look at we talk about the Joker. The Joker started off well-intended and he had a bad day. And that changed everything. How many bad days do we need? Aren't most people statistically 3 months away from bankruptcy?
Well, I guess financially, but what about spiritually? How much do we have in the bank? I mean, to get to this kind of initial thing, because I get it, dude. You know, you'll see like Twitter posts or some Instagram thing, you know, where it's like these fucking unvaccinated people are killing my grandma. Get vaccinated, wear a mask, stay 6 feet away. And then you read the comments and you're like, all these people that are on board just sit there and you're like, what the fuck? Hey, I'm just fucked. And that can't be the case, right? So it's been what, a year and a half of this, right? At a point, there's got to be, our minds have to be somewhat used to the idea of living day to day. When I was homeless, for example, I hear a lot of people say they live day to day. When I was homeless, I lived hour to hour because you didn't know what the weather was going to be like. You didn't know what was going on, wherever. Maybe I'm going to sleep here for this moment. Maybe I have to get something to eat Or maybe I'm going to go sit in the subway while this fucking rain comes down or whatever else. It's hour to hour. So now we've been doing this year and a half. I think personally, we should be at a point where we're living day to day, maybe thinking a week, maybe a month ahead, because you don't know what's going to be happening. You don't know what they're going to be bringing down the pipe and whatever else. Now, a thing I've made with myself is I am not going to give up on my species. And granted, there are articles out there of a guy putting fucking rubber bands around his dick and whatever else. And there's a lady shitting in seaweed. And you told me something else earlier before we recorded. Some guy took like 125 Cheetos and stuck them up his ass.
Yeah.
Or whatever else. Now, those things, you'll put them out there, and then people like maybe you or I, whatever, will get a little downtrodden, where it's just like, what the fuck are you doing at 52 shitting in seaweed in a Chinese buffet? But you know what? That's not the fucking case. It's just like me driving around fucking America, dude. I've been to like 18, 20 states, 21 states, whatever, during this whole thing. And when I left New York, dude, you would have figured that every black and white person has some fucking issue with each other. I don't know, trans and cis people, they're this, and Republicans and Democrats, and young, old, and I'm starting to see, dude, that's not the fucking case. The news is showing you 1% of the negativity 99% of the time. Because I know I will bet money on this with both of you, that when you go talk to people, when you go have your walk with your joint, maybe you go with someone, maybe you go to a pub and have a couple pints or whatever, I guarantee the conversations you have and people you meet and so forth, a majority of them, dude, pretty decent people. Pretty decent. Every once in a while, there are those fucking weirdos out there. Sure. But then again, in their world, it's not weird. In our world, it is. You know? You can't lose hope on this species. And one way, I think, to kind of combat this is you got to start getting together with people. And the thing I think a lot of people do in life, negative relationships is something a lot of people hold on to. I stayed in New York probably longer than I should. That was a negative relationship. Stayed in it too long. Should have bounced. I'm glad I did. The same with presidents. Same with relationships, like in general, this loving relationship. People tend to stay in negativity because they think they can't change. They think for people to see what I've done, to basically just be like, dude, I'm getting a car somehow and I'm going to live in it. I'm going to travel this country until this shit gets figured out. There are a lot of intelligent people out there. And there are a lot of people, I don't want to use the words waking up or whatever else, but I will say there are people that are really beginning to really question all of it. For some of them, it's a little too late. They already got their jabs. But there are more and more people waking up. The issues are, for example, when it comes to algorithms and all of this shit of social media, the thing is, the algorithm they're going to show us is the shit you're talking, the shit that you come across with all of these comments. And because the whole idea of these social media things are to keep you on them. They wanted to make social media more addicting than cigarettes. And they took a lot of the philosophy of nicotine and addiction and used it with social media when it comes to likes, when it comes to comments and everything else. So when you're on a social media, let's say you've got a video or there's some article and you put this information up, then you put a link that goes to something that's not Facebook or not Instagram or not Twitter. That is going to be thrown down into the algorithm because they don't want you leaving whatever site you're on. So if you're on Facebook, they want you on Facebook. So if you share news articles that are from Facebook, the algorithm will treat you kindly. Because again, those are articles, those are news information they want out there. That's the stuff they want. If you were to put something about the protests in France or Italy or Spain, Australia, I mean, you just told me London just had 2 million people that just went, where the fuck was that? Where did that go? So a lot of it is manipulated to make you believe that a majority is a piece of shit, that the majority are just sitting there putting on their mask, that a majority are just rolling over. It is not the case. What is unfortunate, though, is that, and I'm sorry this isn't funny, but what's unfortunate is for many of us, it's too late. And we do this all the time. We're too late. 9/11. By the time there was anything to kind of show that, hey, this might be a little bit of bullshit, what they're telling us, it was too late. Kennedy, they had a fucking, I think 1979, give or take a year, there was our Congress, our House of Representatives had assassination committee that looked into the Kennedy assassination, and they concluded that there were more than 3 shots. There were actually 4, and there had to be another shooter. But then when I go read a textbook of America and social studies, all you hear about is the Warren Commission. Information gets suppressed. The things they want you to know, again, I say it in my act and I'll say it now. History is written by the winners. So they write the narrative. Who knows? Like I've looked at this whole situation. I now look at the Great Depression. Totally different. How these people were manipulated to give up their gold in order to help the country. And then what? Decades later, we take the dollar off the fucking gold standard. All these banks took our fucking gold, right? So now they got the money. Now they got the gold. And then when you separate the two, so if this is $1 million and because the gold was $1 million, that's how this money was $1 million. You split into 2. Now all of a sudden you got 2 million. You just split the stocks. The whole system is bankers. The whole system is Jesuits. And if you're not a part of it, they want you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a right to live life. We have a right to experience the human potential, which they don't tell us enough about. You can't lose hope. And if you look hard enough, there is so much hope around you. So much. But get off the fucking screens and get face to face with people, and you will see there is fucking hope. There are people you may not even know, just like in San Antonio, dude, when I'm walking around, people in masks, those people believe the same shit that I do. All it needs is a small conversation. That's how things begin. When we don't talk, that's why there's been so much tension the past year and a half, because communication is 85% body language, and all of us are just typing. There's so much, you could write all you want. There's so much communication that's not being done. You can talk, but communicating is not being done.
And the discourse is being hijacked as well with the whole woke.
Yes.
The rise of wokeness.
I came up with an acronym for woke.
Go for it.
I think I'm going to make it a shirt too. We obviously know everything.
Yeah, make that a shirt ASAP.
Yeah.
That's it. It goes back to 1984, like when they're developing the 10th edition of Newspeak. And there's this one character, I think his name is Syme. He is so orthodox, but Winston makes an observation that he is too orthodox. He knows too much. That's why he eventually becomes an unperson, because he is too knowledgeable, and that's what's going to get him killed, which does eventually get him killed, gets him turned in by the thought police, because he openly he talks with such reverence that in 50 years' time, that's what he says at the table. In 50 years' time, no one was going to understand the conversation we're having, because the state, the party, Big Brother, are removing adjectives. They're removing, you don't need words like love. The only time the word love should be used is when you're saying love for the party, not love for one another. All right. In this book, marriages are organized you know, and not procrastinating. What's the other one? Procreating is a duty for the party, not lovemaking. That's how it's explained in the novel. And you know, it's funny. I was watching. I can't remember her name. The North Korean girl who escaped at the age of 13, and she's been on loads of podcasts recently. She wrote the book back in 2015, but she was explaining that in their dialect, the North Korean dialect, there is no pronoun I. It is always we. You know, as if they're part of some group mentality. It's not I love you. It's we love the party. We love the state. You know, they are convinced.
Power of conditioning, though, isn't it?
Exactly. They are convinced that Kim Jong-un can read their mind. They're terrified because if they escape, 3 generations of their family, even my second cousins, are the ones that are going to get put into the labor camps. They have a scoring system, and this is going to come our way. They have a scoring system, whereas if you're considered desirable, you get the best state jobs. You get all the good benefits. If you're in the middle,
Citizen app.
Exactly. If you're wavering, if you're in the middle, you know, you're kind of under scrutiny. And then the other one is the undesirables, the ones that get nothing. They get sent to the forced labor camps. Their family ran away from North Korea, so now they're fucked, even though they didn't know them. But they're trying to remove the bloodline. And that's going to happen with us. That's why I sometimes fall into that pit of despair, because I'm thinking, oh my God, we're just going to become we're just going to become code, where it's like, you know, Sweden tried it a few years ago, the whole barcode in the hand. And if that becomes all of us and you go against the doctrine, if you go against the narrative, they just cut off your funds and you can't eat, you can't sleep. Already people are being persuaded to take the jab because they can't go on holiday. They can't go to the pub. They can't go to nightclubs. And people were just like, oh, well, I'll just do it because I want to keep living my normal life. But what is normal? I mean, I say to people, these righteous cunts.
Make your own pub. Make your own pub.
But you get these righteous pricks that will say, oh, you know, it's saving lives. You're killing people. But then I say to them, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the things you own, where do you think that comes from? The iPhones, where do they come from? It comes from immeasurable suffering. The food you eat, where does that come from? It comes from fucking slaughterhouses. The clothes you wear, where does that come from? It comes from fucking sweatshops in Indonesia.
You got to do our part to get death to stop killing us. You have to do your part to make sure death no longer kills any one of us. So put on your fucking mask, get your fucking jabs, get 6 feet away from me, because I am going to prevent death. I'm kidding. You can't prevent death, stupid.
Exactly.
That's it.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to live a neutered life? Or do you want to live a life where you make mistakes, you know, where you achieve things, where you fail, where you succeed? Like, this is all supposed to just be an experience of gaining knowledge. Oh, and by the way, before I forget this, did you guys hear the New York Times? By the way, New York Times is known for being a newspaper that you can research.
Not like the Sunday Sport.
But I mean, like, for example, I think the archives of the New York Times, I think there's some articles that date before the Civil War.
Oh, well, like you can go into a certain place and like go through them. Like, yeah.
Right. New York Times is known for this. They take pride in people being able to research all this information, and they keep it up so people can. Apparently, I can't remember the number. I want to say it was 10,000, but I could be wrong. It might be 1,000. But there have been articles deleted from the New York Times archive. And apparently, the articles that have been deleted were very pro-Chinese Communist Party. So while they were slipping in propaganda into the New York Times was taking money from the Chinese Communist Party to put in these articles, and now they're deleting these articles.
Yeah.
You said something when you were talking that made me think of that, brought it up.
Yeah, well, like
with the algorithms and things. But
yeah, the echo chambers.
I find that utterly fascinating. Because there were stories in New York about how much the Chinese own, like, Manhattan, queen, and so forth. And it starts getting into the realms of, is this world somewhat being taken over by the CCP? I mean, when you start looking at things where the NIH, which is headed by Dr. Anthony Fauci, they gave $600,000 of U.S. taxpayer money, at least. I think it's more in the millions, for the gain of function research in that Wuhan lab, where the virus began. And now they're starting to find out it might have been out in August or maybe even earlier. And it came from their lab people. And then we got Fauci's telling us how to do all this shit. This dude must have known we gave money to fucking fund this shit. This is why you can't lose hope, because it really is a good and evil happening now. And again, people are seeing, and how you were talking about people burning themselves to fucking make a goddamn point. I don't even know what to say about my country, because we're not even doing anything.
That's what
we're not even doing anything.
And the so-called activists, the protesters, they're really just, like you said, people going out there just to socialize and get fucking laid.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
maybe
fucking
that's
high-fiving and shit.
Empty values.
Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to make a fuck party, and then that's how people will come for a fucking protest.
It's called Burning
For Christ's sake. Yeah. You know, it's just, it's not that they make it easy, but dude, I'm not, while I'm on this planet, I'm not losing hope in my species. And the great thing about traveling this country, dude, is I've listened to a number of different perspectives. And I've also seen a number of problems. I mean, I was just in Boise, Idaho, dude, about, 3 weeks ago. And there, for example, they can only buy 2 bags of ice because the whole Northwest is on fire. There's smoke. There's a skyline of smoke, for Christ's sakes. It's amazing how that isn't brought up in the news a lot. And that's something that's happening in the country. But
I've seen bits
COVID,
and bobs now, though. But it's been going on for like a month, and I've only just started seeing news about it.
Yeah, it's every summer. It's starting to become habitual, where every summer. But dude, I was just there, and like, I wanted to go do a gel tab on top of this plateau. It's like 4,000 feet up. It looks above Boise, and I couldn't even go because it was smoke. Like, when I went up there, I would have tripped in smoke.
Shit, mate, that's the scariest shit about this world. Fucking nature. It's unpredictable. Saying that, so it's like, fucking.
To a point. I mean, what was it? I think it's you guys in England, 1952. Didn't you find a way to, like, bring clouds into the sky and make flash floods?
Not too sure about that one, but yeah, I mean,
I think
I've heard
it's England. I think it's England, 1952.
They do it in Dubai to this day. They do it in Dubai.
Yeah. So they have like weather controlling machines and so forth. So I don't know how much nature is. I don't know how much of this is actually.
Well, like earthquakes.
I'm sorry. It's bad.
Fucking...
It's bad. I'm starting to think a lot of things are rigged. A lot of things.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why
the weather, politics, all of it. I'm starting to really think a lot of this is fucking rigged.
Oh yeah, politics is a big fucking act, man.
It's a populist thing. That's all it
no one's
is.
that fucking I don't know, man. No one has those thoughts in their head when they read them out on telly. Like, no one's sitting there thinking that.
Oh,
that's written.
That. I just gotta say this real quickly. You know, I'll watch like I'll watch the local news, and you always have like a guy and a girl. This is the southwest of England area.
They do it in America.
They got the guy that's just, and the banter between them is so fucking fake. I know they don't have conversations once that they stop filming. There is no way. You can even see the girl just like, funny one. Like, she don't find him funny. I can read the body, like you said, everything's body language. Micro expressions that we don't even know about. Yeah. And, you know, I look at this motherfucker news anchor man in his mid to late 20s. I think he's God's gift to the world. And they'll come up with such shit banter. I'm thinking, no wonder podcasts are becoming the main place for entertainment, because the newsman's funny all of a sudden, and the girl's just like, and it's like it's what my dad calls wank talk. Wank talk is when you're saying things and they mean nothing.
That's really funny.
Because it's all wank talk, or like, I don't know. By the way, real quickly, Sean and I were trying to come up with our own ideal society, and no matter what angle we took it at, it ended up in a dictatorship. So we thought, right, we need to come up with the ideal dictatorship, right? So we started writing a list of people to purge. We want to pass this by you. What you think? If you agree with the people that we need to get rid of. I mean, I know it's kind of derivative of George Carlin, people we could do without, but I'm keeping that memory alive. So we need to cleanse the society of all the pedophiles, right? So that's easy. All right, we get rid of them.
Number one.
We have to get rid of
Don't you have to find a way to find them all?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, you're gonna have to get some kids and kind of put them out there as decoys, see who turns.
We just have to
You
get
know how many closeted homosexuals there are? Imagine how many closeted pedophiles there are.
True. Yeah. Well,
you'd really have to do some entrapment
I'll
to
do
get some of these people.
I'll do the whole president of Zaire thing where I'll just get 1,000 of them and kill 10 of them in the football stadium. All right, so here's the next.
All right. Pedophiles, I'm not against it. I don't know if I'm for it, but I'm not against it. Go on.
All right, we have to kill all the furries. They have to go. People that get turned on by people dressed up as fucking furry animals and shit.
Ooh, cosplay. You don't like cosplay people?
Cosplay is, well, I don't get turned on by cosplay. I appreciate some of the effort that people go to pay homage to their favorite thing, but I'm on about people that dress up like cuddly animals and fuck each other.
Okay, let's get rid of the bestiality people first that actually fuck animals, and then maybe we'll start getting into the people that dress up like.
Okay. Yeah, no, because bestiality is like a step down below pedophilia. So yeah, the bestiality people, they got to go as well. Yeah, I agree.
So let's get rid of them. For right now, let's keep the costume people. For now.
Okay, for now.
Yeah, so no, because they're like
bestiality. Okay.
We'll put them to work first. We'll force labor camps.
First of all, this is how you become a politician. By the way, you're taking away all the ways in which people become politicians. Yeah. Fuck kids. Fuck animals.
Yeah.
All right.
We're just cutting out the middleman. We're getting straight to it. All right. Okay. We have to kill all the unfunny trolls. But here's how we're going to manage it.
That could be me on certain nights.
But wait for it. Here's how we're going to manage it. So there will be a panel of comedians of all different styles to determine if the troll is deemed funny. All right. It will be like Kill Tony, but literally people get killed.
Okay.
The show's just called Kill.
What? All right. You know what? A show where internet trolls do a minute of trolling, and then they interview, and then depending on the interview, they live or die.
Yeah.
That's a great show. That's a great show. Killing trolls. I like that.
Right.
I like that. That's
into the fucking Hunger Games, man.
Kind of, yeah.
That's very idiocracy. So I'm into it. So this is like me getting upset at someone who's done comedy once, and then their Facebook page, like their profile is comedian so and so.
Yeah, they need to go. Or someone who works as a fucking receptionist at a doctor's and claims on Instagram that they're a fucking scientist. They need to go too.
Why do they have to go? Why?
Because fuck them, Tim. That's why.
There could be.
Mad is not the answer to. No, I agree. Mad. Killing people is not the answer. There could be a guy in
France right now who's like, dude, I'm trying to make the most fucking greatest peaceful dictatorship, but there's some people that gotta go. I don't like blokes that do podcasts. You know these English fucks that get on with their loud colored headphones and their weird sweatshirts, smoking their marijuana, trying to get deep into what life is.
Why?
These
this isn't directed at me.
Got to go.
I don't want to kill all these people. These are mostly his ideas.
You're the only one I see on the screen right now. So Yeah, there's a guy in front. These people gotta go. I can't stand them. Every time I go to try to listen to my favorite podcast, I get an ad for their dumb podcast. These people gotta go. That's insane.
You know how you resolve
That's
that?
insane.
We just add French people to the list.
And now all of a sudden, you've got a war between France and England over a podcast. How can we make human potential profitable? How can we make personal freedom profitable instead of war and fear and all of this? How can we have a stock market where when people believe in one another, then the economy goes up? Like, why can't we try? Why do we have to? Everybody does this too, where it's like, hey, if you went back in time, you go kill Hitler. What if you went back in time and didn't kill people and tried to help? Like, why does it always have to be someone dead in the end for things to be better?
True.
I don't get that.
No, because you're always going to get that, like, young person who remembers and he, like, grows up to have a resentment.
Yeah.
Ends up being a fucking, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Revenge is a dish best served cold, isn't it? That's what it boils down to. I was just saying some shit to get you angry. It fucking worked. A treat. It worked so well.
It's
for us.
Having a higher kill count than Chairman Mao is not ideal.
Isn't that up to the dictator?
Yeah, but I'm self-aware.
I feel like it's your opinion. You're the dictator.
But here's the thing, right? I'm very introspective, so I'm open for criticism. You know, I wouldn't surround myself with a bunch of yes men. Like, I want different people to have. If they were too much, I'd get rid of them too. But the point is, you know,
dude, you would kill me in a day.
No, it would be cool, man. As long as we don't stay in the same house, we'll be all right.
No,
so you don't put on a fucking tiger costume.
Dude, you would kill me in a day. Like, it would be Halloween, and you would be like, all these people in fucking costumes. Look at all these women dressed up like cats. I can't stand these animals. And I would be the guy and be like, come on, isn't this beautiful? Don't you want to get them don't you want to make a big kitty litter pond where they can all just be kitties together? And you're just like, no, dude, fucking get rid of them. Like, you're no different. You're no different than Biden, Harris, Fauci, Kim Jong-il, Putin. Like, you're no different.
No, but I have a policy.
Come up with a dictatorship that isn't like the rest. You're just copying rich white people.
No. But I'm going one further. I'm going to be transparent and honest about my evil acts. I'm not gonna lie about it. I'll be like, yeah, killed 100,000 people. Like, I'm just putting it out there. All right.
Mate, you're gonna get sectioned after this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fucking just be laughs in it.
That woman chews too loud, sir. That's your mother-in-law. I don't care. Get rid of her.
Another bunch of people that need to go are those who are on a. You know, you're on a train and that train goes into a tunnel. And the person next to you is, hello. It's like, there's no signal, you fucking idiot. You're in a tunnel. They need to go.
They need to go.
Just put on headphones when you ride the train.
Yeah.
Then you'll never hear that conversation. Next issue. If I was dictator, I'd give everybody headphones. Next. I'm having too much fun right now. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun.
You have permission to use this on stage, by the way. Ideal dictatorship.
I can find ways to have people live, and then we still avoid the things that bother us.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm talking about, man. It's possible. We don't have to do, like, here's my main thing, dude. I got 10% battery left. Here's my main thing, right? There's, I guess you could say, some conspiracy theory comedians and whatever else. Some of them lately haven't gotten on board with me. And a lot of them have taken jabs and whatever else, which blows me away, because if you really think the government and all this shit, whatever else, but you're going to take the backseat. And they have this mentality where it's like, everybody's stupid. These people should die. Morons. There's not a good place to live in America and all of this. And me personally, I am sick of it. I don't know what it is where we just have to sit and downgrade our own species like we're better. Some of these people, dude, they might have some money, they may be very funny, but they're no better than anyone else. Like, for all the shit that you're being like, oh, this is annoying, and you're right, those are fucking annoyances that we have to deal with other people. But this whole notion, like, you've got your own shit, dude. And that was my point with the French podcast making fun of you guys, where it's like, you have your shit where people could look at you and go, oh, you know what, dude? Guys with Van Dykes, they got to go. It's either you do a mustache or a beard. Pick one. You can't do this half in between bullshit. Like, there's always going to be something. And granted, it does get some laughs and whatever else. I understand that. But I've decided, especially kind of like when I got to Tampa, I kind of decided I don't want to be that person where it's like, everyone's got to die or these got to go. It's no, everyone should be here. And let's fucking try to figure something out instead of this. We're all pinballs. We're all multi-balls in a pinball, just hitting bumpers. And no one's hitting ramps. No one's hitting lanes. It's just fucking chaos. And honestly, dude, if you just sit back, there's flashing lights all over the playfield. Just hit those ramps. You can control it with the flipper. You can hold a couple balls while you have a couple out there. Like, things are manageable. And people, dude, aren't that fucking bad. The thing is, it's not their fault. Like, I sometimes get annoyed with this younger generation. But I ask myself, if I was given a cell phone at 3 years old and I could swipe left or right on life, how would I be? Mm. A lot of this, dude, granted, it's not necessarily people's fault. They've been manipulated in a way to follow a certain path. They don't know any better. It's not that they're dumb. They don't know any better. And that's a huge difference. Mm. When you have people that have lived a life where maybe they went into the military, family went into the military, right, for a number of years and whatever else, they have certain beliefs, maybe about government, America, the world, life, whatever it is. It doesn't make it wrong. And it doesn't make it something that needs to be gone. What we need to do is figure out, like, here's something I realized with my booze. And I just celebrated 2 years without doing booze or the hard shit. And the whole time I kind of thought it was about quitting the thing. And it's not about quitting the vice. It's about preparing why you started in the first place. And I think that's the same people. We can't sit here and just worry about getting rid of the vice. We have to figure out why the vice started in the first place. When someone's racist, it's not because, they just hate black. There's something that happened that gave them a certain perspective and a certain opinion. It's just data that they did in their experiments, and the conclusions that came out was be racist. Figure out that kind of shit. Then we can start repairing. But this whole notion of like, they gotta go. Yeah. This has got to go. It's not going to go anywhere.
No, of course not.
No, you're right. We joke about it at the end of the day.
I know you're joking. I'm not trying to.
No, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, of course. I'm just putting it out there just in case someone watches.
Just in case.
There's a violent voice. Jesus.
I know you're completely fucking around, but it's just something I thought about lately because I felt like Stanhope, Rogan, like Tim Dillon, Giannis Pappas, they kind of go this route of like, gotta get rid of them. And it's just like, well, you're no worse than what you're yelling about. Mm. You know what I mean?
Like, it's Animal Farm, isn't it? They overcome the capitalists, but they start their own revolution. And
exactly.
Now they're the pigs sleeping in the fucking house.
Mm. Yeah.
It's
like the film Melancholia.
They used to be one of us.
Yeah.
What is it?
Melancholia.
What is it?
It's called Melancholia.
That's a great name.
It's a bag of shit. It's about like
is it really?
A planet coming towards Earth. Yeah, it's a bag of shit. But the characters in it are fucking like, because they know the end of the world's coming. It's based around 4 people on a farm, and there's like 2 sides to the story, like before and after. Like,
oh, interesting.
I need to watch it again. Actually, I'm describing it pretty well here. But yeah, like the father starts going crazy, and it's like that's like his take of the world, isn't it? Oh, they should go.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help him. And when the end of the world coming, he's the one who ends up killing himself before. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like.
Well, anyway,
I've actually described it pretty well. It's a 3-hour-long film and it's a bag of shit. But, yeah.
well, everyone's batteries are running low. So, hey, Tim, we just want to say to you, best of luck. And are you pissing?
Yeah. Sorry.
You gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
Yeah. I've been living in a car for 9 months. What are you guys doing?
So, yeah, I just want to, best of luck to you in Tampa, Florida. I hope it goes well.
Is this what you wanted?
Oh, mate, everything
when you interviewed? Is this what you wanted?
Everything
I
more.
really like you. I really like you guys, and I really get a lot of pleasure, even not just with the podcast that I do with you guys, but like even on the Instagram. I really like hearing your guys' perspective and whatever else. I find it utterly fascinating. Like you're on a whole nother side of the country, and yet there's all these kind of things that we're having in common and these similarities. And then again, with the hope, dude, you've got 3 people here right now that are trying to leave this place better than we found. I think that's how it starts. And I'm sorry I got all serious towards the last fucking 5-10 minutes of this, whatever else.
No, man.
But we like it. That's what
this podcast is all about, man.
Yeah, it's just something I really believe, and I do think, and I still do believe that comedy can be an anecdote to all of this right now. I really think it can, and that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm not going to smoke weed for a month, whatever else. I want to get really sharp, and I want to really start developing the material that fucking questions and points out and whatever else in a way where they can't label me Republican, Trump lover, whatever else, whatever QAnon, whatever other fucking words they want to give me. Where this is a person who has some questions and thoughts, and that's okay. I don't know why, as a society, we're treating everybody like that kid in school that asks too many questions. We want to kick the shit out of them after class. And it's like, no, there should be more people asking questions. Maybe we want to be in this boat, But, dude, when it comes to the hope thing, you got 3 right here. And I know there's more of us out there. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Nothing is forever.
100%.
So
That's it.